All right, so let's talk about methodology and how a deal ultimately makes it onto this website. And it's something that I personally take a lot of pride in. We say no to deals way more often than we say yes. This is something that we want to post. We get hundreds of inbound deals via the website, via agents and builders reaching out to us to go ahead and sell things. And I bet a lot of people who watch this video probably have reached out to me in the past and said, "Hey, can you sell this?" And I say, "Yes, we can do it for $350," and they want $500. I said, "It's fine. I can't help you on it." So we say no to a ton of inventory. Anything that I post, it has to really serve the client who is ultimately going to be purchasing. It has to be a blessing to that portfolio. So what that means is we're looking at 4 main criteria. The 4 criteria that I've found to be most impactful when you're trying to gauge how successful a deal is going to be for a specific type of buyer. My clients, my buyers are almost always going to be long-term investors. They're either buying short-term rentals or traditional long-term rentals. They're usually investing from out of state, or if they're local, they're usually going to be a busy W-2 professional. They've got a lot going on, so they can't have a lot of active, engaged involvement in these deals that require a lot of hand-holding. So we're trying to find something that's going to make the client successful with as little input as possible and still hit these 4 key metrics. So number 1 is going to be asset quality. We don't want to get a client into something that's going to be major headache in terms of renovation and ongoing maintenance down the road. Personal experience, those constant nickel and dime expenses every single month, they really wear on you, and those are the types of deals where I get a call 6 months after closing. "Hey Vic, this thing is really kind of eating me alive. I don't want it. It's not enjoyable. Can you go ahead and sell it?" And real estate is not meant to be transacted in a 6-month cycle. So I don't like getting those calls. So we're trying to avoid those at all costs and buy something that is in really good quality condition. Number 2 is going to be neighborhood quality. So you'll see that I grade all of these neighborhoods that are posted. We don't do anything that falls into the D grade category. We will do A, B, and C. A grade asset or A grade locations are typically going to have much higher rated schools, lower crime rates. B grade is obviously in that in-between ground. And then if I post something and it's a C grade neighborhood, probably not the best spot for you to go out and house hack, but it is a sufficient neighborhood quality, sufficient safety ratings where you can go ahead and purchase an asset there because it outweighs in a certain different facet, which might be, say, cash flow. You'll notice some of the highest cash flow opportunities, the highest cash on cash return, the highest on paper returns are in some of these C grade lower tier neighborhoods. You'll notice that another thing I really like to point out is vacancy. Is a property already occupied? Is it, say, a quad and there's 75% occupancy? We want to focus on properties that have incredibly low vacancy. I do not want to get a call 120 days after closing from a client that says, "Hey, we posted it. It's been out there sitting vacant for the last 120 days. I keep paying this mortgage out of pocket." That is not a call I want to get. So it has to be in an area where it's going to lease up quickly if it's not leased up already. Last component is going to be cash flow variability, cash flow consistency, and then like margin of cash flow. And this exists on a spectrum. If it's an excellent location and it's a great walk-in equity position, maybe that is sufficient enough to go ahead and offset the risk and accept a lower margin of cash flow. If it's a really terrible area, let's say it's the bottom of the barrel in terms of what we would accept, not nationally or not like even in our state, but the bottom of the barrel in terms of location that we would accept, and it's producing, let's say, a 10% cash on cash return. You as an investor, you might be looking for that exact kind of deal. You're okay with taking on, say, more subsidized housing. You're okay with taking on assets that are in C neighborhoods because you're looking for a certain level of cash on cash return. Those are deals that we're going to go ahead and send. So asset quality is filter number 1. Neighborhood quality, filter number 2. Vacancy risk, filter number 3, and then cash flow margin is filter number 4. And one other word on cash flow margin, that is going to change whether it's a short-term rental or a long-term rental. A short-term rental that's only generating a 6% cash on cash return is not usually going to make it onto our list unless there's some other outside factor. Let's say it has really incredible financing terms, or let's say it's in an area where we never get short-term rentals and this is like a unicorn kind of like location. Maybe we'll go ahead and add that one into the list. So if it hits all those 4 criteria, I'll go ahead, I'll do all of my underwriting on it, and then it has to fit the actual stress stress test of your deal analysis, right? So now you're actually punching in, you're taking the real insurance numbers, you're taking the real taxes, you're taking what's actually being paid or projected to be paid for management fees, you're taking the actual income if it's already fully occupied. So you're taking the real snapshot of today's performance. What is that actually doing? Does that meet our threshold? Does that produce a positive cash flow? Is the neighborhood appreciating beyond industry standard or beyond what you would expect for that type of neighborhood? Most of the time, that's going to be somewhere in the realm of, say, 3.5% if it's a tertiary market and you're buying it purely for a cash flow play, like let's say Killeen, Texas, or that could be as high as, say, 5.5% or 6% year-over-year appreciation if you're buying into a more A-grade premium market. And we can verify these appreciation rates from the MLS data, and we look at the past, say, 10 years of sales history. So that's the filter. Everything that I send is fitting into those 4 buckets. If it's failing in one of those buckets, it's because it's made up for either dramatically in one of those other buckets, or let's say there's a really attractive financing incentive, or it's an area of town like Clarksville, neighborhood in Austin, where we never get deals. If I get something that's just barely break even in cash flow and it's in Clarksville, it's a unicorn. Push that thing. That's awesome. Or maybe there's a really huge equity incentive. Let's say it's a builder and all the same neighborhoods or all the same floor plans have been selling for $400,000, and he's got 2 left that he's going to sell to our clients for $325,000, but it's producing negative $35 a month in cash flow. I'm going to push it. So that's a little bit about the methodology, a little bit about the thought and framework and kind of a process that goes into suggesting these deals that are posted to the website. A very, very small percentage of the total inventory that we see is actually ever even posted to the website. So if you see a deal here, it's already been vetted. If it then makes it through your initial vetting filter, that's going to be a great option to go ahead and move forward on. So give me a call, email, text if you have any questions. I'm happy to provide more context, but that's a general overview of how we add deals to this website.